Well, hello and welcome to the bathroom of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Just Elfers for October 25th, the day of a substantive form. And here at the top of the page is a visual representation of the day of substantive form there. Hard word to say more than once there. We have us a snail's shell, if you like. Now, I don't know how that's necessarily a visual representation of your day. Maybe we'll make some kind of connotation as we get on with the reading later. Oftentimes, I'm not really able to do it, but it's not altogether all that important. That being said, what is important is it's October 25th, and it's someone's birthday today. That's right. I want to wish you a happy birthday. That's what's important here. But if this finds you late, I don't know, days, weeks, months, hey, I just hope you had a happy birthday. That's right. That's what's important. All right, but for everybody else who's joining us randomly, or more ideally, to celebrate the October 25th birthday, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before we get in with the redirect, let's roll some dice. This is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so we should live up to the namesake. Am I right? Well, I'm in control, so I'm right. And even we do so more importantly, for synchronicity's sake, and we rolled us a 5 and a 3 for an 8. That might have been the numbers we had originally, but I did roll it. So a 5 and a 3 for an 8 it is. Now you might be wondering, or you're probably wondering what synchronicity is, if and you never heard of it, right? And it's just you getting out into the world and let the universe show you it's with you on your path. And you do that by looking for these numbers. Now you don't have to go with what I rolled you. The intention is there. It's probably preferable you take your own set of dice, regardless of whether you go with that number or not, so that you can ascribe directional values to number sets and then roll yourself minutes with which to go in those directions. But once you reach the end of those time limits that you've rolled, you stop, compose yourself, and you take a look for what's around you, and hopefully you spy yourself your daily numbers. That being said, sometimes that's not the case, but you might see something anomalous. Who's to say maybe you took off from the ocean there. Maybe you were on the coast and you head off into town there looking for something to do, and you come across maybe a building that's got some seashells on the side. Oh, hey, shells, how about that? But you know what? Those are mollusks, and we're talking about snail shells, so that doesn't really cry out to you, does it now? That theme there with the shells. But hey, maybe you're in front of this building at the end of that time limit, so go on in. The universe kind of pushed you in that direction, and maybe you go in there and you find yourself sitting down to the most exquisite sea chowder that you've had. That's right. Hey, the universe just did you a favor. It put you where you needed to be to get that exquisite chowder. That's right. Maybe when you're done, the waiter comes and he goes, hey, guess what? You're the 8th customer we've had today, and that's our special number. Your meal is free. I know that's probably not going to happen, but maybe you're the 1,000th customer. That's more in line with them giving out free meals. That's right. So it could just be things like that. And if you hadn't rolled the dice in the direction for the time limit, you might not have gone to that restaurant and been in just the right place, the right moment, to get that free exquisite chowder. That's right. So any event, hey, I think you get the idea what synchronicity is. Let's get on with the birthday read. All right, October. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Your month is October. Your day, the 25th. Your sign is 1 to 3 degrees Scorpio of the Libra Scorpio cusp, and your quality and element is fixed water. All right, now we're on track. October 25th, the day of a substantive form. All right, there we go. Those born on October 25 must give form to their ideas. And although they can be extremely imaginative people, their dreams and visions mean nothing to them unless they can be substantiated in physical reality. And those born on this day generally present a solid, earthy exterior to the world, and although often quiet, will give reassuring support to their family and friends. They serve as a rock on which their colleagues, students, or employees can depend without fear of being let down. More highly evolved October 25 people are not satisfied with only developing their physical self, but want to universalize their substantive feelings for form and for structure. The great opportunity and challenge for all substantive. That's All right, sorry there. Their great opportunity and challenge for all October 25 people is to give shape to their fantasy and to translate their innate physicality into productive work. Consequently, they should take an interest in art, politics, literature, city planning, ecology, or a host of other areas in which their solid, substantial natures can produce tangible results. Ultimately, however, they may progress still further, expressing a truly original creativity that reaches into more abstract or theoretical areas as well. All along the way, they must beware of getting power urges and then letting them get out of control and being diverted into destructive or immoral activities. And October 25 people hate chaos and like to be in control of things. They may be very well intolerant of those whom they see as flaky, abstruse, or vague, and can be quite severe with such people. They frequently will fight to overcome their own uncertainties in their 20s, ruthlessly hanging in there no matter what and hammering away at themselves until they have built a rock solid personality. And in doing so, however, they may have to cut away a certain amount of sensitivity. They will have to beware of being too critical of those they perceive as less mature than they. A great challenge for October 25 people is not getting stuck, either at the most basic physical manifestation of their personalities or at any further step in their spiritual evolution. Habit, repetition, comfort, and financial security will tempt them to quit and rest at an acceptable level, giving in to the desire to luxuriate or vegetate and forsaking their ideals and their goals. Another danger is that when young, they will reach a high level of achievement in the physical realm and not know what to do with themselves when age comes on and this power starts slipping away. It is precisely here that the opportunity exists to graduate to a higher plane, but they will often struggle for some years before doing so. And October 25 people are tremendously self-sufficient, but must learn to ask for help when needed and give others a chance to assume the dominant role from time to time. Well, all right. What an interesting and dynamic breakdown, I must say. At least I think so, anyhow. Let's see here. I got a little bit of some notes here for you, a little bit of a commentary if you like. So let's dive in with some notes here. Extremely imaginative people. Dreams mean nothing if they can't be physically manifested, all right? And the reading claims you present a solid, often quiet personality, someone who serves as a supportive, dependable, and reassuring individual to the people in your life. And the more highly evolved individuals born on this day, well, they often express their desire to make ideas real through interests in art, literature, ecology, and all manner of different areas that allow them to create tangible results. All right, and throughout this read, I was just staring at a picture Pablo Picasso, and I don't know if it just kind of manifested in the reading to make it as serving as just a pristine example of as much of what I know of the gentleman, but that definitely colored it for me. I don't necessarily want to color it for you, but if it's your birthday, you probably don't need that. You got your own personality to reference in any event. So just this whole idea of drilling down and making things tangible, knowing that gentleman put so many different things out into the world and created so much, well, it really painted this day for me. So let's continue on here. You have a drive to universalize your take on form and structure to the degree that one often takes their crafts to the next level, creating and setting their own unique standards for as much. That said, they must take care not to let their own legends go to their head. At least that's how I interpret that dynamic. Again, thinking of Pablo Picasso there, which, as the reading claims, can lend to a destructive and immoral designs and practices. Furthermore, October 25 people are said to hate chaos and can be intolerant of people who buck convention in terms of commitment and consistency, or at the very least, punctuality to be said there. And you're committing yourself to sussing out such aspects of your personality at an early age or early adulthood there. So dedication is a true through line, it would seem, on this day. What else we got here? Especially if that personality or that personal sensitivity is sacrificed to realize as much. Such self-discipline, I would say, is quite admirable. All right, at least in my mind. But it's also a bit tragic in a way. All right, a weaker part of one's humanity, might argue, but it's still a facet of humanity. That sensitive sign, I mean. So don't sacrifice it completely, I think is what I'm trying to say here. You need a little bit of that, all right? Especially if you work with the clay, all right? You got to have sensitive hands, right? In any event. But apparently it's still a challenge for October 25 people to not get stuck in their endeavors or their spiritual evolution. So perhaps weigh what you're sacrificing, and if the benefits outweigh the ultimate costs, all right? So a tremendous amount of admirable qualities, I would argue, but a steep bill for as much may be waiting in the wings, if not already outstanding. That's right. Okay, so that's been the notes there for the birthday breakdown. Let's dive in with your numbers and your planets. All right, let's get into it. Those born on the 25th day of the month are ruled by the number 7, as 2 + 5 = 7, and by the watery planet Neptune. The connection between Neptune and Venus, the ruler of Libra, can lend grace and imagination to an October 25 personality. But Pluto's influence as Scorpio's ruler brings this combination an earthy power. And those ruled by the number 7 typically enjoy change and travel, but many October 25 people prefer remaining closer to home. Conflict in this area can result, particularly if long commutes or mandatory business trips are necessary. Well, hey, they personalize this one for you quite a bit, and they drill down on a conflict between your rulerships there. So a lot of times it's a copy paste, not a lot of times, but a good many times it's a copy-paste job, and they don't really dive into much, let alone focusing on your number for very much of the read. So they didn't do that too terribly much, but it speaks volumes if they even mention it. So in any event, what did I have to say? Let's get to it. The number 7 in the watery planet Neptune. For grace, imagination, but an earthy power granted by Pluto. And I wrote whatever that means, perhaps grounded, I'm not sure, perhaps a moral life kind of consideration when I looked up the definition of earthy. But if regarded as an element, it could speak to an incisive and economical use of one's time and avoidance of having to do things twice, which is indicated in the book's earth element entry. I kind of went searching through the book trying to see if maybe something else applied there. Which also speaks to a developed tactile sense. You know, you got to get that sensitive touch for the clay there, right? It also speaks to self-sufficiency and a preference for avoiding the help of others. And that sounds right in line with the breakdown. So I think that might be what they meant with the earthy. Especially if that's where all the work is done and and a preference for remaining close to home, right? And that makes sense to me. Here we go. Especially if that's where all the work is done. And considering long commutes would probably test your patience and your perseverance to the craft, I can definitely see how it would mention as much, inciting conflict, all right? Especially if one side of you likes to travel. All right. In any event, that's the numbers and planets. I'm glad we found something to drill down on, that earthy element. So now we understand what they mean there a little bit. All right, let's dive in with your tarot now that the numbers and planets is done. Your tarot. Now, I know it's one of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies, so a lot of people don't throw much credence at it. But you know what? We don't have to take it home with us to start dealing out cards to influence our every life's decision and fancy, but it's your birthday, so it's in the book, it's fun, let's see what it has to say, expand our horizons a little bit. Maybe you'll just find some other form of inspiration to incorporate into your work there, if and you get stuck. All right, hey, the 7th card of the major arcana is the Chariot, all right, which depicts a triumphant man moving through the world, manifesting his physical presence in a dynamic way. And the card may be interpreted to mean that no matter how narrow or precarious the correct path, one must continue on. All right, don't get stuck. The good side of this card posits success, talent, and efficiency. The bad side suggests a dictatorial attitude and a poor sense of direction. All right, hey, what I have to say about your tarot. Maybe you can see on my face there was a lot of things coming together there. All right, the tarot. The Chariot for moving through the world, manifesting one's physical side and their presence in a dynamic way. For success, talent, and efficiency as the positives, and a dictatorial attitude or poor sense of direction for the negative. And one could certainly argue that this card speaks to this day, and I would say perhaps better than any other Chariot card day that I've encountered in a while. I mean, that's in here a lot, and so me saying that is no light thing. But at the same time, there's been so many who's to say it might be on par with some of the others. But I'm just saying it's meaningful. It speaks to it quite a bit. And you throw any other card at this, I think you'd have a hard time making it line up. So that's interesting. Maybe they influenced the breakdown a little bit from the tarot there. Who's to say? You don't know. I'm not the author, so. In any event, I'd say it speaks to it in spades, if and you like, drawn from another set of cards there. It's just uncanny in my mind. Any event, that's the Chariot card for your tarot. Let's move on to your health. All right, your health. Those born on October 25 often ignore symptoms of general indications with regard to bad health, and thus must work against themselves by allowing chronic conditions to take hold, or thus work against themselves more properly, I would assume. Their faith in their ability to heal themselves may not be borne out in all cases. Therefore, when more serious complaints arise, they should not procrastinate in seeing a doctor. And most October 25 people are, however, sensible about their diet, love to eat and take an active interest in all types of cuisines. Long walks, light jogging, or swimming are recommended either daily or a few times a week. Overly strenuous exercise without sufficient buildup, not a good idea. And generally, October 25 people need a lot of sleep and also a regular sexual gratification. The sooner they can find an affectionate, responsive, and understanding life partner, the better. As they grow old in their drives toward perilous emotional and physical encounters, should be tempered and ultimately phased out. All right, there's your health. It was pretty, all-encompassing. They threw a lot of different elements at you. Sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes they might just drill down and focus on one and make just quick passing mention of the others. But anyway, let's get into it. You're often ignoring symptoms and indications of bad health, apparently. Well, that's not the right penchant to have, one might argue, all right? Though if you are so engulfed in the work, it makes a fair amount of sense. You might do that. But just maybe consider that the work won't be around if you're not there to do it. All right. So don't take time. Take some time away from the work you're doing so that you have some time for the stuff you're not doing you're not quite doing just yet. I think you get the point. I worded it better here, but hey, let's not try to read it. All right. What else we got here? This idea of not being able to heal yourself, or being able to heal yourself rather, seems a bit lofty in my mind. Not to poo-poo it, maybe you do have some kind of extrasensory capacity to do that for yourself, but I don't know, I haven't really heard of folks that are able to. Any event, you're often sensible about your diet and the reading claims, and only moderate to light exercise is mentioned for you. So you have that going for you. But it also makes mention of the fact that if you're going to do vigorous exercise, to build yourself up to it. I don't think I've ever read that in a book before, so maybe take heart with that. There may be a lot of folks out there born on this day that go too hard, too fast, and end up breaking themselves. They must have mentioned it for a reason. It says sleep and sexual gratification on the regular are encouraged, and this isn't something that gets mentioned often either. So I found it interesting that they mentioned having a partner who's open to that, being coming around early in life, is to the best of your what do you call it? Of mental well-being, I assume. They didn't say that specifically, but I thought it was interesting. A willing participant, maybe, or something along that nature. What else I have to say here? Find him sooner rather than later. That amuses me. But if it prevents you from going to extremes, and there's real credence to that, I'd say take heart and look for that partner that you might need to get yourself over some of them hurdles that might come at you otherwise. In any event, I think you get the point. Just amusing to me that they threw that in there. In any event, that's your health in the can, as it were. So let's move on to some advice. All right. Beware your tendency to let things slide. Don't get stuck. Keep your goals in sight and never relinquish your ideals. Try to understand your critics and don't burn bridges or paint yourself into a corner. All right. There was some value in that advice, even though it was real quick and to the point. Let's see what I had to say here. Letting things slide outside your health, that wasn't really something I picked up on in any of the reading there. Maybe I just missed something. So, but it's decent advice just in general, right? What else we got here? Don't get stuck, all right? I didn't get the idea that you did that, but you know what? We're all human. Those kinds of things happen, especially if you're an artist. Sometimes the muse or the motivation, the drive isn't there. But you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Just do something, even if it's prep work for the project that you don't know you're going to do yet. You know, maybe that means cleaning the easel or getting your framing materials all together. You know what? At least when you're doing the muse or the mood does strike you, that stuff's in the past, so you can move forward at that point. What else to have to say here? Don't get stuck. All right. Despite that, but it's okay. Having goals. It's a good suggestion, even if rather rote. Okay, just don't tell anyone about them. And I read this the other day, so it's interesting this came up. And I say that because research suggests that if you do tell someone about your goal, the chances of your feeling as though you've already accomplished it somehow increases. So yeah, don't tell anybody about your goal, because then you might just not actually complete it. All right, there's some kind of personal drive if nobody knows about it. Understand your critics, and this one, I don't know, you can take that for what it is, but I would say to take this from it: be objective, regardless who's giving the view, critic or otherwise. A lot of people would argue the critics don't have any kind of professional experience anyway, but they're considered professionals somehow. Hey, you know what? If you can be objective about anything coming your way and kind of step outside yourself, take a good look at it, I'd say it's a good practice. Humble yourself. That's right. And don't burn bridges, all right? Hey, this one's tough. But you know what? You might need someone's help down the line. So even if you don't like them, don't burn the bridge. Just, be diplomatic. You might need their help in the future. In any event, that's been your advice. Let's take the energy down a hair and move on to your meditation. All right, your meditation. Open your heart and let the sun shine in. All right. Once again, open your heart and let the sun shine in. All right, we'll take it as seriously as we can, right? I'm not going to throw a spin on it or some interpretation for it. It's your birthday, your meditation. Open your heart and let the sun shine in. All right, that's your meditation. Now let's move on to your strengths and weaknesses. That's right. Let's address the things that make us happy, I suppose, and the things that test our patience there, maybe. In any event, let's do the work. Your strengths and weaknesses. Can you guess what they are? Your strengths, your physical, your substantial, and your dependable. All right, those are strong ones. Those are good. But your weaknesses... what could they be? Your weaknesses. You're overbearing, intolerant, and complacent. Ooh, complacent, and I didn't really get this one, but based on the read there. But you know what? They mentioned it being a potential weakness in some of the different areas there. So yeah, don't let things get out of control, all right? Don't let them slide. Don't get stuck. All that good stuff. Keep one foot in front of the other. Keep pressing on, even if it's just to get out of bed in the morning and get a shower in, right? That's right. Little successes equate to larger ones, if you like. In any event, that's been your strengths and your weaknesses. Let's move on to those born on this day. And as we get into those born on this day, I not only like to look and see who shares your company, but I like to examine something I find important, and that's figuring out our passions. And for someone like you, that might be very important, if you haven't figured it out already. But I say that because, this life can be, it doesn't really breed that kind of thing. You get out in this world, you got to get a job for that financial security so you can keep a house over your head, or a roof over your head rather, and food on the table. And it just, sometimes you don't have time to put into work to figure out your passion, because you know what, it just doesn't happen for us all that often. In any event, I think this is the perfect opportunity to see not only who shares your company, but how they got in the book, what made them famous. Now, it might not have been their passions to the things that they did, but you know what? It put them on the map. And that's just mentioning the fact that we're focusing on figuring out your passions or trying to derive inspiration. Well, hey, maybe that'll help stir up the fires and get you thinking about as much. And maybe you don't take anything from this but that. That's right, hearing about it. So let's dive in and keep that in mind with those born on this day. All right, we start off with the person I mentioned previously here, Pablo Picasso, the Spanish painter, etcher, lithographer, sculptor, ceramicist, and he died at the age of 91. It's a very prolific, multi-talented individual. That's right, take some inspiration. But he had some amoral type practices there, so that's why I said, he was reminding me of this breakdown. Anyway, moving on. Richard E. Byrd, the Arctic-Antarctic explorer and the U.S. Navy Rear Admiral, aviator, and the first to fly over the North Pole, and is the writer of Alone. I'm assuming it was a book. We have Georges Bizet, a French opera composer, died at age 36, rather young there. We have Johann Strauss Jr., a Viennese waltz king and an operetta composer. Dan Gable, a U.S. Olympic gold medal winning wrestler, two-time NCAA champ with a 118-1 college record, as well as a coach. We have Midori, the Japanese violinist, Abel Gance, a French film director of Napoleon, Galina Vishnevskaya was a Russian soprano, or perhaps still is, who's to say. We also have Cornelia Ender, an East German swimmer and a first woman winner of 4 gold medals in a single Olympics. We also have Bob Knight, the college basketball gold medal winning U.S. Olympic team coach, Klaus Barbie, the Butcher of Lyon, Nazi SS leader and captured in Bolivia and sentenced to life. Hey, sometimes we can't all have the good folks as examples. You know what? You take some of these bad folks, that's what not to do. That's right. Okay. We also have Helen Reddy, the Australian singer, songwriter, Jimmy Heath, the jazz saxophonist, flutist, composer, and arranger, Henry Steele Commager, an historian, Harold Broadkey, a short story writer and epic novelist of The Runaway Soul. We also have Dave Cowens, the Boston Celtics basketball center, MVP coach, Lee McPhail, an AL baseball president, general manager, and he preceded Bobby Brown, it says. Bobby Brown, a baseball player, AL president, cardiologist, succeeded Lee McPhail. We also have Jack Kent Cook, a Washington Redskin football, NBA Laker basketball, NHL Kings hockey team owner, and a Los Angeles forum builder. We also have Lord Macaulay, a British politician, an abolitionist. So I say we ran the gamut today. Artists, athletes, leaders, horrible individuals that were Nazis, you know what I'm saying? All sorts of things like that. Hey, take the good with the bad. Maybe we can derive some inspiration and get out there and figure out our passions. But with that being said, and the born on this day aspect of your birthday read being put to bed there, I'd say that about rounds out your birthday read. Except to say, your season is fall, your sign once again is Scorpio of the Leo-Scorpio cusp, and your quality and element is fixed water. And this has been October 25th, the day of Substantive Form, from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Hugh Stelfers. I'm going to affiliate link for this book down in the description if you're looking to pick up your own copy and save yourself having to type it in the browser there. It helps support the channel, helps support these guys with whom all this wouldn't be possible if they hadn't written this monster of a book. But hey, let me tell you something. It's gonna make a great addition to your bookshelf or your coffee table, especially if you're looking to get a party started and break some ice. All right, this thing's gonna get the conversation flowing for better or worse, and break literal ice if and you got the hardcover there. But that's not what's important here. What's important? That's right. It's your birthday. Me wishing you a happy birthday. Once again, happy birthday, all right? And for everyone else who joined us, hey, I hope you enjoyed yourself and you join us for your birthday read. But lest we forget, right? Your daily numbers, right? 5 and a 3 for an 8. Get out there and get some of that pristine chowder. That's right. You know, even if that's not what happens, let the universe show you it's with you on your path. See, touch, taste, feel the magic. And if you do, you'll know why I went to the lengths to emphasize doing as much. All right? Any event, hey, even if you don't get out there, happy birthday. All right? Take care of yourselves.